What's up, guys? Rapid Fire Golf, a little late, episode 27. Welcome back outside at the Bethlehem Golf Club. Hope all is well. Hope everyone had a good weekend, good week since last week. And yeah, let's fire away. We got another good day, good weather, low 80s, hot up here though in northern PA. Yeah, so those of you who haven't been here before, Rapid Fire Golf, fire your questions away. I'll go through them rapidly. If you've been here before, let's chat. Let's chat golf. Hope well, let's rock and roll. Okay, Mr. Ronald, what was the background story of you teaming up with Chris Ryan on the last video on setup? Seemed highly successful. Do you two know each other well, golfing buddies? Yeah, the background is at the beginning of the year, Mary and I kind of set out what we wanted to do and accomplish this year. And part of that was collaborations. It's kind of been interesting to watch some of the other industries that we follow. And a lot of the people who run channels and grow their audiences always do collaborations with other people in the business. And there doesn't seem to be a ton of that. There's some of that in the golf industry. Me and my golf have done a pretty nice job with that, but not a lot of collaboration. So, you know, what we wanted to do is we set out a goal of hitting a certain amount of collaborations in the year. We kind of fell to the wayside a little bit as some other things became a priority, but we're going to get back at that this winter. So just want to bring some other people to you guys, bring some new people to our audience, to you guys that you guys may or may have seen before, bring us to some new audiences and kind of meet some new people. So hopefully that's just kind of the first of many. We did the 2 with Chris, and then we have some plans to do a lot more later this year and into next year. So if you guys have any recommendations of people you would like videos with or to see, fire them away, and we'll see if we can make that happen. I think the other thing too is, like, I want to expose you guys to some other people and some other ideas, and myself to other ideas, and Mary to other ideas, and see stuff and experience different viewpoints on stuff. So it was cool. Chris is super cool, super nice guy, very easy to work with. We got delayed a little bit with the last video, but he was very cool. We both like him a lot. Happy about hello. Mary says hi as well. Chris, back-to-back 82s. Thank you. That's a beautiful thing. You are welcome, sir. 79, 78 next time. Breaking 80s our next goal. Steve, what's your advice for a person that's short, 5'7" in stature, on stance, setup, knee flex, spine angle, etc.? Mary, how tall are you?
I would be 5'3.5".
5'3.5", Mary claims. So what would I do if you were shorter in stature? You know, not a lot outside of the normal, Steve. Some of the setup videos, if you watch our setup pieces, the video we just did with Chris, and so the other ones, the checkpoints that I would use in the video, I would basically remain the same, especially from the down the line. So from down the line with the setup, when we go, I think you said setup specifically. What are your advice to person sure setup? Yeah, okay. So in terms of knee flex and all that, I would basically do the same thing. So when you take your normal setup position, I would like to see back of armpits over balls of the feet. That's something I was exposed to from George Gankis maybe 5 years ago, that he said, and I was like, duh, yeah, never put 2 and 2 together. When you watch it, it's like lined up all the time. I used to always say armpits and arms over the toe line, but it's also back of armpits over the balls of the feet. So I like that regardless of height. I like to see the arms, elbows, hands more or less straight line down in front of the toe line for like an 8-iron. I like to see butt of the club in line with the belt line. From here, I like to see the lower back pretty flat and the upper back rounded. I'm not like this. I'm bent over here like so. I like to see the knees not super bent, so the kneecaps are over balls of the feet, not over the toe line. The butt line's not super far behind the heel line. Those would be things that are common in line with the best ball strikers in the world, regardless of height. The only thing I really see change much in terms of height would be the feet width. Meaning if I take a normal stance, let's say with an iron, and my ankles are like at or just outside of shoulder width, if I stood up and made my feet wider, you see how I get lower? And if I make my feet narrower, I get taller. So one little caveat I would just say is maybe potentially the shorter you are, a little bit narrow stance. But I've seen some players who are shorter that don't do that and have been successful. So it's not like a hard rule. But from down the line and face on, it would kind of hit the same checkpoints, ball position, knee bend, spine angle, stuff like that. You getting on the back there okay, Mary?
I'm doing on the phone. We're good.
Ken, what's up, man? Do you feel you keep your right wrist bent back from the top of the backswing all the way past impact? I currently don't feel that. I have felt that, and I have a lot of players who felt that. We just did a video today on the right wrist during the backswing that will have some kind of YouTube-y title, so people click on it, but about the right wrist in the backswing. Basically, so if your wrist is in a flat piece here, I can either go towards flexion, which would be like palm towards the target, or extension, palm away. Kind of what I want most of you guys to feel is the palm working down towards the ground or working towards extension early, and then up to the top this way. So from back here, I'd go, I know you didn't ask this, but I'm getting to answer. I would go palm this way, palm kind of more this way towards the target. So it'd be kind of palm down, kind of face down, palm away this way. We kind of get the face in line, and then maintaining that trail wrist bend in the transition all the way down in impact will help get the handle more forward. Now, the answer to how long you should maintain it really depends on two main factors. Number one is speed, meaning if you actually attain that and maintain and get the handle forward, the more speed you have, the more you can have the handle forward and get away with that with a lower dynamic loft, because you have enough speed to get the ball high enough. If you lack speed or you're lower in speed, you cannot do that. If you have your handle too far forward from here, you're gonna have not enough loft. You're gonna hit it too low. It's not gonna carry far enough. So the slower your speed, the less you would hold angle, more you'd throw. And of course, the more you throw, you gotta match other pieces to make that contact work, right? This is not utopia. The more you throw like that, your contact can go off, so you can match that. So lower speed, less hold, more throw. That's with irons or driver. And the second part is where you coming from. If you are, who is this? Ken. If you are a guy who comes in and has great shaft lean, good club face like this, then no, of course you don't need to hold it, right? Now, if you're a guy who comes in and you're like this, then absolutely you want to feel like you hold that thing forever. So this is what's hard with golf, Ken, is because like maybe you send your swing to me and Steve before you send his swing. Steve throws really early and has a lot of speed. You have no speed and you hold really long. I would literally tell you guys the exact opposite. I'd say, Steve, you need to hold that freaking right wrist forever, man. I'd say, you got to freaking throw that thing, right? Or vice versa. I don't know who, I might have messed up that example, but I might have told you guys the opposite things in terms of the same topic. So it really depends on where you're coming from. As always, the solution for that is you send me your swing so I can look at it. It's done on cogornogolf.com. Okay. Which word are we doing here? Uh-oh, is Mary gonna come in and do a little, is that better? Mary doesn't like my mic. When hitting up on driver and hitting late on arc and club going left, would opening face a little on address help or just cut a little? Yeah, in theory, if you have the ball more forward, right, in your stance, you're hitting it more forward on the arc on the way up and on the way left. If you have your face closed to that, you're going to hit left, right? Pull hook. So yeah, in theory, have a face open to that at impact. What do you want to do to get there? Could be a lot of different things. You could open up at a little bit of dress. Absolutely. You could keep it square and have it open in swing. You see what works best for you, I think, is the shitty best answer there. Draw my iron, slice my driver. I feel that is because I can't feel the club head of the driver. Should I try to adding weight, something else to be able to get the hands through? Yeah, I don't know. You know, I'd have to see that to see why. Why are you drawing your irons but slicing your driver? When you say you can't feel it, are those clubs fit for you or not? Maybe the irons are fit, maybe the driver's not, maybe vice versa. If adding weight helps, that's cool. I would say in terms of clubs, adding weight or changing clubs, I'd always get a fitting done with someone who knows what they're doing. And not guess at it. If I could see your swing, I might see a couple mechanical pieces as to why that happens. But yeah, I'd have to kind of see. I'm not sure with that. I would say get a fitting, get done, make sure it's not the clubs, and then kind of check your mechanics, see if there's something there. Ian, is it common to hit pushes when fighting a hook? Absolutely, those two go right together. Usually, if you're hitting pushes and hook, you're too underplaying during the downswing, so kind of too shallow, too far from inside, exiting too far to the right. You would want to do some kind of drill where you have objects in front of you like this. So if we got the little water bottle, kind of a 2-for-1. If I take my setup out here and I put this in front of me, instead of me coming down and hitting this on the way down, I would want to feel like this club head kind of stays out in front of me a little bit more and start with little half ones. Let's see if I can actually miss this. Start with little half ones. And for you, that's going to feel like a little fade motion. So you can do that, an object between your feet and the ball. If you search my name and how to cure your hook, that will come up, or search my name and follow through. We'll talk about that. You can also put an object out here to the right of the target. Now, again, you might put something a little more legit here, like a little object, but you can put something like this. This is a little bit risky on your target line. And so normally if you come down and you go out, you're going to hit the water bottle or the ball well. So you want to feel the club head and you kind of working more left pass impact. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but let's try this little half one. Okay. And probably when you do that in the beginning, you'll hit, like I hit a little, probably like 5 to 10 yard cut there. But those would be the pieces. You kind of look at your path. You have a push and hook miss in the same pattern. David, been working on shallowing the downswing, weight shift, bending down, hip turn extension, but I'm hitting it fat. Suggestions. Yes. Make sure your trail arm is more bent and make sure your trail wrist is more bent. If I held this out and I got me closer to the ground, my body closer, I will hit it fat unless I've done two things successfully. One, I need to turn enough. Two, I need to shorten levers. How I shorten leverage is my arm and my wrist. Here's my arm like this, fully lengthened, fully wrist lengthened. See where the club head is in space? Here's my arm bent. See how that got shorter? Here's this. Let's say that's the ground. That got bent. Now, if I also bend my right wrist, that also got a lot shorter. Here's me fully lengthened fat, bent arm, bent right wrist. So I would want to kind of shorten those levers up if you're actually doing those pieces, David, with your body. And make sure you record it. Don't guess. And see if what you're actually doing is you're doing. Getting you closer to the ground and rotating is a great idea for everybody. If you guys hit it shitty from there, you need to learn how to match pieces up to that. That's what the best players in the world do. Hopefully, the videos we've done have shown that, which we've been trying to. I never knew growing up, like, you're supposed to get closer to the ground. Like, no one ever told me that. I like never saw that. Never did I think, like, never would I have thought I'm supposed to get down as I go. Like, never would I have thought that. And that's what good ball strikers do. There's just no debating it. Yeah, it just is what it is. Okay, been working on my hip turn in the downswing. Should my weight move right into my left heel? Yes and no. I mean, you want to feel like it goes right into the left heel. Usually it'll kind of go through the middle of the foot first and then into the heel. So if I'm taking a normal swing and I'm here, I'll be on the balls of my feet. When I go up to the top, a little bit in towards my right heel, a little bit towards my left foot or left toes, going from my left toes here into the middle of my left foot and then into the left heel. Now, if usually you don't rotate enough or you early extend or hit hooks and pushes, whatever, you probably want to feel you go to your left heel like right away. Yeah, absolutely. Have a great show. Thank you, sir.
That was nice.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where am I at here?
William Wilson.
William Wilson. Your video on chest rotation has transformed my ball striking in a massive way. Thanks for going. You are very welcome. We are happy to hear that. Besides looking in mirror, how do you know your armpits are aligned? That's it. Yep, you got to do that. You got to look in the mirror or do video. That's it. I don't think there's any way to do it. I mean, I can like hold something there, but that's one of those ones you got to just check. That's like for me, like, how do I know my macros are good if I don't track them? I just have to track them. I either guess or track them, you know what I mean? Wish there was an easier. Well, you know what? Actually, what you could do, Mary's going to like this. Mary likes when I do smooth transitions into things we're interested in. This here, my friend, how about that little softball? Is Live View Golf, which we use. And talk about in all our videos. No, all kidding aside, if you don't want to look in a mirror, you wouldn't watch yourself. If you use Live View, which is what we use, Swing Mirror Vision is an app you can use too. Something where you can watch yourself simultaneously is the best option. You can do your phone, record it, go back and watch it. And I've done that for years. It's okay. I'd rather watch it live. I always, even now, when I watch myself with a Live View or watch myself live, I'm always like, shoot, I should be doing that more often, like I say, because it's just such good feedback right at the back. So if you don't look in the mirror, you can use a Live View. You can set up your iPad or phone, super easy. And I like it a lot. Mary likes it. Yeah, that's actually Mary's Live View that she uses. What's your best tip for hitting the long irons low into the wind? Prithvi. I would say the same. So like one is hitting long irons are tough, right? So it's like, how do you train? How do you train to do a marathon in an easy way? You don't, just tough. Marathon's tough. Long irons are tough, right? Hitting them low, hitting a long iron. I imagine like a 3-iron into a breeze. Tough. Like just tough. So there's no easy answer to that. It's going to be difficult. Don't expect great proximity to the hole. If you have like a 4-iron into a wind and you hit the green like half the time, that would be great. Okay. So that aside, what I would do to lower the loft would be the same things I'd do with any of the other clubs, which would be mostly the biggest thing is loft. And the second thing is angle of attack. So if I want to lower a shot, I want to lower the loft and hit more down on it. If I want to hit it higher, I want to add loft and hit less down on it. So how would I do that if I had a long iron or if I had a regular club is I'd lower the loft, hit more down, ball would go back in the stance. I'd grip down a little bit, get a little bit closer to it. So normal ball position for me is probably off of left eye, left ear with a 7-iron. I'm going to move it back to like my right eye, so it'll be pretty far back. I'm going to move my weight forward, handle forward. I'm going to hit consciously down more on the ball and feel like my follow through is lower and kind of wider. So I need to lower the loft and hit more down. Ball back, weight forward, handle forward at address, hit down on it. So I'm going to feel like that club head works very vertical on the way down and widen out the follow through. And so that, I don't have my TrackMan up, but I would say that's probably like 15, 20 feet lower apex wise than my normal with a 7-iron. But that's how you would do it. Hard shot, hard shot. Homer, what's the recommended distance to land a chip and a pitch in relation to the hole where you're hitting the ball? I think that's different and kind of by feel. I've seen some different players do some different systems of based on how far you are away from the hole, land it X amount of feet on, or use certain clubs. I don't personally do that. I teach landing zones by feel. When I teach chipping, I always go solid contact first. So you do all your mechanics, hit it solid first, neutralize everything. Second, you work landing zones. How I have people work landing zones is you put a towel on the green, 1 yard on, 2 yards on, 3, 4, and 5 yards on. So we do 5 landing zones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yards on, and then do that from varying distances off the green. Everyone I've ever worked with who's done that has been a great chipper and pitcher of the ball. And then they just go by feel. So I would walk up to a shot, say, all right, this looks and feels like this based on the lie, based on how far I am, based on what I feel with my game right now, based on the round. I mean, there's a lot of variables there. So I don't do like a walk-off system. For wedges from 30 to 100, I'm a big believer in putting a system in, but for the chip shots, I would go a lot more kind of based by feel. So I don't do it that way. Steve, you are welcome. Ronald, do you have an off-season training regimen, fitness, flexibility, practice skills for them? Not really. I mean, off-season typically, when we do like longer player development programs, would be more mechanics. So like, let's say in PA, let's say we have 12 months. Really, we're only playing for like 6 to 7 months, which means there's 5 to 6 months where we're really not playing. That would be optimal time to work mechanics, where you can work on swing mechanics, you're not on the course as much. So when I would used to do all year player development programs with a lot of the kids, high school, college kids, we would work heavy mechanics from like, I usually would give them off in November. Then like December, January, February, March would be heavy mechanics. And then April through the summer would be lots of play, lots of on course, shot shaping, tournaments, practice, whatever. We would assess everything and then do the same thing next year and kind of make little improvements. That's the reality of how it goes. A lot of us kind of approach it like, hey, here's this swing fix, and then in one session it's going to be different. We used to do these programs for years and years and years, kind of slow and steady improvement. But yeah, in terms of fitness and stuff like that, I don't really have anything, but I think if you do a little kind of Google search, maybe I'll find some stuff. Jeff, in your experience, will thinking of pulling your lead hip straight back help prevent excessive slide? Absolutely, but don't guess, record yourself. At the end of the day, what you feel doesn't mean shit. It doesn't matter. Like, feel does not matter. All that matters is, are you actually accomplishing it? And I think you would agree with me, Jeff. If I told you, feel like your left ear tilts back real fast on the way down, and that somehow changed your lead hip, we'd love that. I'd take that right on the course and go play. So yes, I think that feel would work, but only if it works. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like you do that and it doesn't happen, then no. Also, there could be stuff you do earlier on that makes that harder. A lot of people I see struggle to change something during the downswing, have something in their setup, takeaway, or backswing that's jacked up, and you're playing tug of war with your brain, and that's why they can't fix it. So you need heavy feedback, you need exaggeration, make sure everything beforehand is cleaned up enough to do it. What's the proper motion to closing the club face with the driver? When I try and de-loft it so much, I put tops on the ball. So it really depends. I would say you have to check grip, wrist conditions, and arm rotation. Depends on if you want to close the club face on the way back or on the way down. So club face is usually those 3 things. Body angles play a role, but I would say you want to make sure your grip pattern's on neutral, which would be your V's at your trail collarbone, I would say, as a stock to the right of the chin. You want to make sure your wrist conditions on the way back are good. So flat with the lead wrist, bent back with the right wrist, kind of more towards the camera than this way, or kind of more this way than this way. And then on the way down and through, again, it depends on your pattern. You may have to add some kind of bow and roll late. You may have to add arm supination. You can do it on the way down, the way through. It just depends on your pattern. The stronger the grip you have, the less you need to do with your wrist conditions and forearm rotation, period. The weaker the grip you have, the more you have to either flex that thing somewhere or add supination somewhere. Neither are right or wrong, right? You got guys with super strong grips that light it up and win majors. You got guys with super weak grips as of late, like a Matthew Wolff, who lights it up and hits it a mile, but he flexes it down a lot in that transition. So I'd have to see your swing, but those would be the pieces that I would look for. Again, when I say I need to see your swing 20 times today, guys, CogornoGolf.com, premium membership, $39 a month. Can't highly recommend that enough.
Any members on there, give a shout out.
Yeah, if there are any members on here, again, like last time, if you want to say something positive or negative about the site. I hate this shit. Matt, knock off like go Birds. Yes, sir. Looking for a good year this year, I think. Bounce back. See if what's his name can stay healthy for a year. Carson. Thoughts on one length irons? I'm neutral. We started this a little last week. maybe 20 or so guys come in with 1 length irons. I have seen neither great improvement nor not improvement with them. I think a lot of the guys that have 1 length irons think that's going to fix something, and it doesn't end up fixing something. That would be my diagnosis on it. Do you have a breaking 80 video? We don't, but I think probably as we go moving forward, the master classes that we do, we'll probably eventually do those with score ranges. Me and my golf does that, and I like that a lot. Like breaking 100, breaking 90, breaking 80, breaking 70. We've been doing like one specific swing flaw, and we'll probably do that until we don't have any more flaws. And then we probably will do more scoring range stuff. And I don't know that we'll probably do master class on that, and then that'll go on the membership site like normal, but we'll see. Maybe that's just a site thing. We'll see. But yeah, we will do something like that eventually. How to hit low. How to hit a low full shot out from under the tree. So same thing as a long iron in the wind or running a marathon. Difficult. Have low expectations. Hit that only if you can pull it off. How would you hit a low full length shot? Is the same thing we just talked about before in terms of the punch shots. So you want to decrease angle of attack, or rather increase angle of attack, hit more down on it, decrease the loft ball way back in your stance. So like if I had to hit, I'm going to grab like a 5 iron. Let's say I hit my 5 iron like 200 yards, let's say on average, 205 when I'm feeling frisky, but like realistically probably 200. Let's say I had to go underneath a tree 200 yards in the air. Like I'm probably not getting there in the air. I got to roll up. So with my 5 iron, if I had to go real low underneath a tree, yeah, I could probably fly over 150, I would think, and could roll up kind of close to 200. So if I had a tree in front of me, what would I do to get underneath it? Now, the first goal, like when I take people on the course, if you have a tree in front of you, what's your first goal? Everybody together is thinking to themselves, don't hit the tree, right? Do not, under any circumstance, hit the tree. It's like if you're punching out, you got to be somewhere. If you're punching out, get back in play. Don't get so aggressive that you try and do something stupid. You hit a tree, you're right back there and hit another shot. So at minimum, get it back in front of you, have a wedge shot. Having said that, I see that all the time. 50% of the time I say that, the person hits the tree. I just got done saying it, and they hit the tree anyway. Anyway, if I'm going long iron, 5 iron underneath a tree, and I have to hit it far, I'm doing those same things. Ball's way back. I'm talking like inside right heel back, handle's way forward. I'm hitting really far down, and I'm lowering my follow through. I'm also getting my body forward. So I'm way back, I'm here. I'm going forward, I'm going down like this, and I'm going low and forward. Almost like I have a downhill lie. So 200 yards, let's see if I can get this like 150. I'm gripping up on it, I'm standing closer to it. I'm going down and my body's going way forward. I'm increasing the speed on the way down as well. I might even try and kind of hit like a rope hook with it. And so that's probably, Mary can attest it. Now I hit that a little higher, I might have hit the tree, but that was probably 180 in the air, would you say? And probably pitches out to close to that. So tough shot. Again, it depends on how low the tree is or how high the tree is. When chipping from different distances, do you prefer the same swing / different clubs, or one club, different swing methodology? I like both. I think it depends on the player. For 30 to 100, I'm a firm believer in one club, one speed, and change swing length, just because I've done that so many times and it works the best. I know other guys who teach different swing lengths and speeds, and that works for them. That's cool. I like one club, one speed. Around the greens, I'm more flexible. I have some players who come in and they use only a 60, and I'm like, you're an idiot. You should use other clubs. And then they chip at everything to an inch. And I'm like, all right, you're not an idiot. You should just use that 60. That's fine. And I have other people who I would teach into bump and runs, and they're better with that. So I really say it would depend. If you can hit all the shots with one club, there's some validity to kind of learning how to do some different things with one club, then do that. That's cool. If you can't pull off all the shots, and I would also say the higher your handicap level, like when you learn how to golf, let's say to break 100, probably just a sand wedge. One club, get really good at a sand wedge and hit that from everywhere, because you don't have to get up and down a lot. You got to just chip on the green at one. If you're trying to go from like 90 to 80 or 80 to 70, I think that bump and run starts to play more of a role. Learning how to do a 9 iron or 8 iron. But I think like one sand wedge. I don't think you should be chipping with like sand wedge, gap wedge, pitching wedge, 987. Like a sand wedge and a 9 iron, that's plenty. Or like sand wedge, 7 iron or 8 iron, whatever, pitching wedge. But yeah, you could take one club all the way to shooting under par, you know, but I think a backup club is probably good. Thanks, you are welcome. What's your advice on bounce back swings or holes after a disastrous shot or hole, specifically the mental aspects to recover? Yeah, I think that's the same sort of thing as like any kind of life thing that goes on. Routine would be important, right? Habits that you build when you go. So like my pre-shot routine and my thought process before I go play, I've done so many times that like, of course the hole before has some natural effect behind the scenes, but like what I do pre-shot in terms of swings, thought process, getting present and breathing, I've done that so many times that my body goes back to, just like for me, if I have like a bad day or a bad week, it usually isn't anything more than that for me, because like my morning rituals are so habitual. Like I'm like programmed to do the same thing either way. So I'd say that's really the answer to the question. It's really good. I know it's like boring answer, but the on-course videos we did, I think we have one on here that we did with one or two of them on YouTube. We have more stuff on CogornoGolf.com. Breathing, getting present, thought process, stuff like that. That's the reality of it. And then letting go of it. Like but Ron, that also depends. If you're a guy who goes to work or you're in traffic and you get pissed off because a car cuts you off, I probably can't teach you to not get pissed off at a bogey. Like that's a life thing that needs to be handled. I mean, a lot of times I think when there's things happen on the golf course that reflect how you are. So that's really a bigger picture thing like that. Most people that I see on the golf course who bounce back well don't get mad in traffic. They don't get mad at life stuff. That's just a life thing for them. So that would be how I would look at it. Adam, curious what you think of flared both feet setup. Steve does as well. Yeah, I like a flare on both foot. I would say what would be traditional. Some guys I see, a lot of guys I see flare both feet, some amount, left and right. I see a lot of players with a, like my stance line would probably be like 5 degrees of flare with my trail foot, but probably up to like 20 with my lead foot. So I like to have my lead foot flare a little bit more. I find it's easier for me to pivot, move my pelvis in space. I definitely don't like the lead foot square for like next to anybody. I would maybe invert, like put the trail foot in if I'm trying to do a drill, but most always square, or sometimes even flaring the right foot more and or bringing it back in the stance to make the hip turn on the way back easier. So if you're someone who sways or has trouble turning on the way back, I would probably flare that foot and get my hip more behind me. But yeah, I like a little bit of flare in both feet. Not necessary, but yeah. Let's see here. Haven't seen a what's in the bag yet. What shafts using? Yeah, honestly, because I always have a mix max of shaft. I have these TC's Tour Concept shafts, the True Tempers X100s. They're my buddy Paul's. I just borrowed. This is what I've been kind of using all year. These Callaways are like this. I like them. You know, I'm honestly, I'm not a big club guy, so it's probably why. But I've had these in the bag for a little bit. I have Mizuno wedges in the bag right now. I just got a new Mizuno driver this year from Club Champion, and I got a new Odyssey 2-ball putter. So that's kind of what's in the bag. Nothing fancy. Let's see, James, are there any training thing to get your hands to turn over to release the club? Keep holding on the club and fade or slice. Yeah, so what I would do, James, is watch the videos on release, search my name in hands, search my name in supination, and search my name in arms. Arms, hands, release, supination, shaft lean, stuff like that. And you'll get probably like a couple hours worth of my thoughts on how to use the wrist conditions and release pattern on the way down. And also search wrist conditions and grip. It really depends on your grip. So James, I mentioned before, it depends on your grip, what you need to do. It's just, that's part of the deal. So search my name, hands, arm, grip, things like that, and then you'll see that. Pull hooks. I want a pull draw. Quickly give me a video for over the top. So if you want to start a ball right at the target, you want to put a start line out in front. So you put an object like 3 to 4 yards in front of you in line with your target. And you need to do that over several practice sessions or months. I tell that to a lot of people. They do it once or twice and then they stop and like, oh, it didn't really change. Well, no, like if I go to the gym twice for 1 week, same body, dude, same body at the end of the week. If I recommend you got to do a start line stick in front, I'm talking about like the year, like 6 months, maybe more of you doing that. Should be all part of your regular deal all the time, right? So that'd be number one. Number two is you would have to do some form of shallow your downswing. So if you search best drill I've ever seen, the only 3 drills you ever need, super YouTube titles, shallow your downswing, draw, all that kind of stuff. You'll see my thoughts on practice stations. Basically, if you want to not be steep on the way down, you want to have an object behind you tilted down like this. If you watch those videos, you'll see that, where you got to come underneath that. We have another video coming out this week. That's another, I think it's this week. It is this week, of practice stations to do some shallow stuff like that. We also have a shallow your downswing master class. You can search in the link in all of our videos, so I would check that out. Having a problem with hook, snap hook, driver, irons. Yeah, Chase, I would have to see to say why it is. I mean, if the ball's hooking too far to the left, especially snapping, the first thing you look at is face to path. Is your club face too close to your path? If so, why? Is that grip, wrist conditions, form, rotation? Are you hitting it toe off the driver or way off the heel? Is that gear affecting it to the left? But if it's happening with the irons as well, then probably not. It's probably face to path. Make sure your grip's neutral. I really have to see your swing. It's one of the ones I'd have to see your swing, but probably your grip is to either grip issues, wrist conditions, form, rotation, face to shut. As always, if you want to send your swing in, CogornoGolf.com. How do you hit bunker shots from a downhill lie? Yeah, you pray. Don't hit it there when you can. Up and down percentage is going to be very low. Downhill, we didn't do downhill lie in our last
Not
bunker.
the bunker.
So downhill lie out of a bunker. Okay, some of the stock bunker things would be the same. We did a chipping video that would come out. So bunker, right? If this is just a stock bunker video, this would be like this. So feet very wide, knees bent, balls kind of inside. For me, I like kind of inside left heel, maybe just a smidge farther back, handles lower, right? Face is dramatically open. This would be kind of my stock bunker. Very neutral with my tilt. I don't want to be back here like this. I'm very neutral here. I like to see bunkers, backswings roughly left arm parallel. So maybe like halfway back on average. And then the follow through depends on the kind of shot you want to hit. If you're going downhill, you got to kind of leaning tower appease everything to the left and increase your left leg. So here'd be normal lie, here'd be downhill bunker. So if normal, I'm probably 70% in my left quad, kneecap is what, like 2 o'clock, kind of forward. Downhill lie, I'm really into my left leg. Like I'm probably like way here like this. My upper body's way forward, left shoulder low. I'm going more vertical on the way back and kind of following the slope on the way down. And then I'm like really hoping I'm not short-sided. So like if you're downhill lie, you need green to work with. Like you made an error hitting it there. So don't try and get too cute and leave it in the bunker. Get out. Best players in the world only get up and down out of a bunker 50% of the time. That means half the time they do not. So a bogey's okay there. Don't do anything goofy. That's how you would play that. Any opinion on the 300-yard impact training aid? Ron, never heard of it. Maybe put a link in there, Ron, or send me, so I've never heard of that 300-yard impact training aid.
Like
Thank you for answering my question and what you do. You are very welcome, my friend. Happy Bob. Realized recently that I realized recently, Okay, I realized recently my club face looked square, and it was, but manipulated square. Dynamically square, if that makes sense. Like a bad bunker grip setup. Weakened grip setup, bingo. That's perfect, man. Love that. Love that. Jason, hi. Do you think I should change my clubs? I have Mizuno MP59 blades. I got them secondhand. I only started playing last Christmas. I'm looking at a new Mizuno. Yeah, so what I would always recommend, Jason, is you get a club fitting done. I coached my whole life, right, and never really got big into clubs or club fitting. So I always have a bias to like skill pieces. And I don't say this to be like a dick, but like I think I could take any set of clubs down this range and go shoot about even par across the street. So like to me, the skill pieces, mechanics, ability to hit shots, time, etc., it overwhelmingly trumps what clubs you use. Clubs to me only become an issue if they're so far off what you normally do. So like Mary, let's say behind me, if she had like Dustin Johnson's club, which are like super duper stiff, that's probably not going to work out well. But like if you have something that's semi-normal, I'd say it's probably not the biggest thing holding you back. If money's not an issue, for sure go get fit and get new clubs. Absolutely. It's like learning how to drive, right? I always use the Honda Ferrari example. Nothing against Honda. It's just, you know, you can learn how to drive in anything. You don't need a Ferrari, but like, you know, down the line a Ferrari is nice then. John, scratch player, looking to go deep into the pluses. Love that. What ratio of practice time versus on-course time would you advocate to get to the next level? Yeah, John, that's a tough one. I used to get that question a lot, and it depends on the player. I've had some players who strictly play, and that works well for them and they develop. I have some players who practice a lot more than they play. So I would usually give my players like a 50-50 ratio in season, meaning I would spend no less than 50% of my total time on the course and 50% of my time in practice. That'd be like a loose ratio that I would use, but it depends. Some guys that I have them practice on the course a lot more and they do better there. Their range time is like a waste of time. To me, range times only works if you give yourself feedback, you're disciplined, you do frequency over duration, and you spend enough time at your level on skill shit, not just mechanics. Start line control, trajectory, curves, etc. Everyone overlooks that, and that compounds over time. So I would say 50-50 is what I would usually say, but I've had people go on the other side. So John, I'd have to kind of know more about your game. Like, why aren't you in the pluses? Is it iron dispersion? Is it driver distance? Is it up and down percentage, putt percentage? If it's like putting percentage, then yeah, definitely more time there. If it's up and down, more time there. If it's driver distance, then on course doesn't make more sense. You got to do that on the range. So it just depends on what it is that you need to do. Is lack of hip rotation a direct cause of flipping the handle, lack of dynamic shaft length? Absolutely, yes. So during your downswing in general, the more rotation you have, the more the handle is going to be forward. So if I kind of stood here with a stupid example and just kind of barely held the club with my hand, and I turn my body towards the target, and I'm not doing anything to the shaft, I'm just literally holding it with my two fingers, the shaft goes where? Towards the target. Now, if I don't rotate, the shaft doesn't go forward. Of course, I can adduct my arm away from my body, right? I can add lead wrist flexion. I can get the handle forward and do it other ways. If I've seen good players do it. But the more that I open up, the easier it is to have the handle forward, lower dynamic loft, more speed, better face control, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Absolutely. The question is, if you don't have rotation, why? How do you fix it, right? That's the question. And part of that's going to be you need to record yourself. Don't guess. Find feedback that works. What's wrong with Spieth? That's a good, dude, a good question, man. At one point, I heard him saying his swing was engineered for consistency. I hate to the answer is I don't know. I don't know what him and Cameron McCormick are working on. I don't know what's going on with him behind the scenes. Like, I don't know. So I hate to I don't know, right? Armchair quarterback. But, you know, I think, I want to say this diplomatically. I think sometimes you can do things in your swing. So here's something I'll say that's not diplomatic. Michelle Wie, okay, changed her swing. Fucking bad idea. Bad idea, like, to change her swing. Lydia Ko, changed her swing. Not good. Like, sometimes you have swing mechanics, and like Tiger when he changed his swing sometimes, to try and get better. And man, like, you should look in other areas to improve. I don't know that Jordan Spieth and Cameron McCormick did it like that. That's why I hate to say it like that. Michelle Wie did, right? Lydia Ko did, and I think they went down the wrong alley. So I don't know if he's doing the wrong things mechanically. I think he has some things in his swing that tend to lead to two-way misses. Some of his downswing patterns where he get pushes and hooks, I think that's hard to play with. So yeah, it's a good question, man. Luckily for him, his ball shooting can go so low, and his chipping and putting is so freaking good, and he knows how to get the ball in the hole. And even though he complains a lot when he plays, he's really good mentally too. And he's got a great short game. So that's a good question. I'd love to know what but here's the thing, Dave, like, dude, I've had players who got worse. So like, it's not Cameron McCormick. It's not just Jordan Spieth. I've had players who I coached who played really good and got worse. And I think we did everything that we were supposed to do. I've got players who I coached certainly a lot that got better, but I can't, you know, all of us, Butch Harmon, the best of the best of the best of the best, have players who got worse. So yeah, it's hard to say, man. It's hard to say. Brian, how do you determine how far back your backswing should be and what starts your downswing? So I would say the backswing, like when we do videos, I kind of use a rough 40-degree rule. So from down the line, I'd say I like to see the butt of the club get above, at least on or above your head. So here's the butt of the club, here's my head. I don't typically like to see it neck or eye line. I want to be some width and some length. So like the butt of the club above the head. And then from here, I would say in terms of the lead arm, if this is boom, boom, like a 90-degree angle, I kind of throw like a 40 to 45 as a stock. I generally see better players have bigger body turn, shorter arm swing in general. Of course, there's some anomalies who go long, but that'd be kind of a general rule. Hi, hello. Kevin, I have a mid-am tournament in 2 weeks. It's only my second amateur tournament. Any advice on keeping my nerves down? Yeah, so like ideally, Kevin, moving forward, you need reps, man. Like for me, how I got good at doing videos is Mary and I did a lot of videos. How I got good at doing lessons was doing a lot of lessons. How you're going to get good at playing tournaments is playing a lot of tournaments, right? So there's no getting around that. You need reps. I think one of Tiger's big mistakes this year has been not getting enough tournament reps in prior to the majors, and that shows. So ideally, you need to put yourself in pressure situations. The best way to mimic what you're going to do is do what you're going to do. Meaning, if I want to go on stage in front of 10,000 people, the best way for me to prepare for that is on stage in front of 10,000 people over and over, or the closest I can get to that. So if you can find like some money matches over the next couple of weeks, put yourself in as many uncomfortable situations on the golf course where you're playing for something that you generally care about, like enough money where you feel a little sketchy, or it doesn't have to be money, but like something that kind of gets you going a little bit, something like that. But you have to be in tournament like that. What you do out here and in practice like that when it comes to tournament doesn't even matter. You need to get in that environment as much as humanly possible. And that goes for everyone. If your ultimate goal in here is to win a club championship, you need to be in club championship-like environments as much as possible. Mess up there, whatever, learn there, come back, assess, and go back in. But you need to get as much as you can. Chris, get a membership, buy it now, and get better. Period. Love that. Boom. Yeah, thank you, Chris. I will echo those sentiments. I think if you guys all joined on there and post your swings up, you'd be very happy. You guys would get specifically what you need to do, and I can actually see your swing, which makes all the difference in the world. Dave, when I shorten my swing and actually see it shorter on camera, I tend to pull it more. How do I fix? I don't know. I'm not, well, it's actually, Dave, you could post your thing up there. So if you shorten it and you pull it, in some way, shape, or form, your swing direction is getting too far left. That's the kind of variable that we know. If it straight pulls to the left without kind of a lot of curve, or even if it draws a little bit, your swing direction is getting too far left. Why that is, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to kind of see. So yeah, if you want to post up your swing, Dave, I can take a look at that. But if you shorten it up, you'd want to do some kind of shallower downswing drill or swing direction drill, like the stick behind we showed, something like that, to get your swing direction more from inside. That's the variable that needs to change. The question would be how. Brian, you asked before too, how do you determine backswing length and what starts your downswing? I didn't answer that. Backswing length, I said about what starts your downswing ideally is ground up, cliche and true. Feet, legs, knees, hips, pelvis, torso, arms, kind of hands, typically in that motion. What you need to feel depends a little bit on where you're coming from. So if you're up to the top like this, depending on what you do going back, I'd have left leg or heel plant, left leg work back out, pelvis work down and around, rib cage work around, thorax work around, arms and hands then start coming down. But what you need to feel, and the next person could be completely opposite, depends on where you're coming from at the top. Why do people shank every once in a while? So there's a couple of different main reasons. There's several that could come up. I see people shank for a couple. Number one would be balance points being off at address. So if I take my normal setup position, if I start, let's say I'm too far away from the ball, or I'm too close, or if my pressure is too far back on my heels or too far on my toes, I see both of those. Some people I see back on their heels and they go on their toes on the way down. Center mass of the club kicks out too far, heel shots. I see some people on the toes, they kick back towards the heels and they throw their arms out to get to it, heel shots. I see a lot of people who shank too low with their lead arm and then too far out to the right with the heel of the club too. I'd probably say that's kind of the main ones. Pressure in the feet going too far back and forth. Swing direction, if it gets goofy inside or outside, can cause that. Reactions to the setup being off, and then too low of an arm plane. I see a lot. Kick the center mass too far out to the right. There's more than that, but that'd kind of be like a general overview. I can hit P7 well, but not 6.5. Are there any changes between getting into longer iron? So for those who don't know, P6 and P7, kind of the general system that's used through MORAD would be from here, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P7 will be down at impact. So if you're good at 6 and bad at 7, yeah, I'd have to kind of see specifically what that is or what specifically you're off there that causes that. Any changes when getting in long irons? Not really. No, kind of same checkpoints. You know, the reasons why my grip always gravitates towards being strong. I have to work really hard to keep it neutral and it causes so many hooks and pulls. I don't think so. I mean, I think that's probably just whatever your habit is. Like I was taught into a weak grip when I first started kind of getting more serious lessons to take the hook off, and my grip always gravitates towards weak because that's what I trained in. That's my habit. So I have to like work off of that. I've had early extension for like 10 years for a lot of different reasons. So I always gravitate towards that if I don't hit balls for a while. So I think that's probably just your habit. I don't think there could be literally no reason why other than that's just the habit you built. I would say when you're checking grip, just you gotta give yourself enough constant feedback. Like if you're trying to lose weight, right, you weigh yourself once a week. So you know, right? If you're trying to change your grip, you gotta record yourself so you know. Start my downswing. I start my downswing by swinging my arms down. It stops me getting stuck and leaves room for my arms to come through. Are there any pitfalls of sequencing the downswing like this? No, not if that works like that. Depends when you feel that, do you actually do that, Bob? It depends on what else kind of you match up with that. We talk a lot about feeling like the arms and hands kind of don't come down as fast because it gives you an opportunity to get the body out in front. Now, if you told me, hey, I feel like my arms pull down from the top and you still have good rotation, you hit it good and score well and yada, 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 then there's nothing wrong with that. No, there's nothing wrong with that. I would typically say kind of the other, right, to give yourself more time to open up. But dude, I've heard so many people say so many weird things that works for them where like I would just nod my head and they just keep hitting the same good ball foot over. And I said, that's perfect. That's good, good, good. Because why would you do anything else if it works, right? I would say if it goes off, you want to like watch yourself again on video and confirm that. Mr. John. Hey, Golf Geeks. Premium membership is a no-brainer. Free access to masterclass, monthly swing review by Eric. Gets $200 an hour and his book months out for like 40 bucks a month. Are you kidding me? Don't get a bottle at too, honestly. John was the only guy, I think this year, who who came up and we took on the course. And I think we tied because I gave myself a 6-footer. I think I gave myself a 6-foot par putt on number 4 or 5. So he may have actually beat me, but I gave myself that and actually hit it. So no, I appreciate that, John. We appreciate that. I do think all of you guys would enjoy CogornoGolf.com. And John and the members there would love to have you guys there as well. I think at least to try it out, to put your swing up, especially if you're frustrated. If you're having a hard time kind of getting to the next level and fixing your swing stuff, yeah, I mean, just try it. Like worst case scenario, you do the group, you're like, hey, this isn't for me, I don't like it. You cancel whenever you want, and then it's no big deal. It's no hard feelings. But I genuinely think we could help a lot of you guys. Robert, thanks. Did I hear correctly that your private lesson schedule is booked through late October? Cheers to you, but from me, yeah, it is. Well, I think I have. It was booked through October, maybe like a month or so ago. So I kind of got booked a lot early or this year, especially with the golf schools and stuff we did. And I think I have like 3 or 4 times left. And then November, December, we might, it might get kind of booked up too. So we'll see. But yeah, we got booked pretty quick this year, man. Eric, can you go over starting your downswing before finishing your backswing by moving your front side? Yeah, I would say kind of it is what you just said there in general. I mean, I don't, now listen, I think there's some validity to like if you measure guys, certainly, a lot of them are starting to work forward before they finish their backswing. I get all that. I get the athletic part of that. I get the sequencing. I understand. I've seen all that. But I like, for a lot of people, more so training in like, get a full turn up to the top. Feel what that feels like to get up there. So like, I like that knee in. I like that heel up. I like that knee in. I like that pelvis motion. I like big turn. I like big depth here. And the reason I like that is because not only have I hit the ball a lot better since I started doing that a couple of years ago, the people I teach hit it better when you do that. And I see some people like, oh man, that knee's too in, or it's too much turn, or how are you going to turn back if you turn through, or whatever. Like, all that matters is what works. You watch what the best players do. So anyway, where I'm going with that is I like you to kind of get up there, feel where that's at, hang out for a minute, and then create the motion. I do get from here, if you want to kind of start down before you finish back, the issue I see with a lot of people who do that is they never get turned enough. They don't get a big enough turn on the way back, and they don't get deep enough. And I've seen people play good without a big enough turn and not get deep enough. Brooks Koepka doesn't turn a lot and he doesn't get super deep. He's freaking the best player in the world, right? So it's not the end of the world, but he's an anomaly. A lot of people don't turn enough and they don't get deep enough, get too narrow, and they have problems. I would rather you get a nice big turn, get some depth, feel what that's like, and then learn to create from the lower body from there. See how when I'm doing that, my arms and hands barely go anywhere? I'm not going like this, okay? I'm here. I'm barely going anywhere. So what's creating that motion, right? The same thing as if I was here playing baseball and I'm at the top. I'm like this. I'm here, my first step. My arms and hands aren't going this way as I turn. I'm here. A lot of times the arms and hands are even widening. I'm going like this as I'm hitting. So it's you learning how to create that from a pulse by the top, I think, is more valuable than learning how to start when you go down. But, you know, I've seen people do those drills and them work. That's just my personal preference. Lee, what's up, man? Love the channel so much. Great coach. Would love a lesson. Yeah, would love to have you come out next year, maybe. Maybe not this year, but Lee, let me know where you're. Let us know where you're at. We might be able to do some stuff this winter. Michael, Eric, should my left arm be close or touching my chest in the downswing? Yeah, I would prefer your lead arm to be in. So like I would say as a stock kind of model, you're down the toe line, lead arm, the biceps against the pec. At left arm parallel, you're kind of in line with the right pec, right bicep, left arm's against your pec line. You're over the trail shoulder, ideally here with good depth. So my lead arm is pressing against my pec. Now, as I start down, my lead arm is still pressing against my pec. So it doesn't fly out there. It's still against my pec there in transition. So it stays on my pec, let's say, until about halfway down. And then from about here, now it starts flying off into the follow through. That'd be kind of like a stock model if you kind of are neutral going back. Let's see. Use the Apex Pros too, all the greats. Yeah, all the greats, exactly. Paul, can you talk about the right thoughts to have with short chips around the green? Yeah, I think it depends on your situation, depends on your lie, it depends on how far you are away from the pin. If you have a short chip and like the pin's close to you versus you're like not that far off the green type of shot, depends on your lie. I would say, you know, from there, let's assume you have a good lie and you have some green to work with. A lot of people would be more beneficial from there to kind of open the face a little more, use the balance, have a big enough swing where they can stay aggressive. Or you can kind of go pop motion, right? Like I see some people do those and you get super close to it, right? There's just a lot of different ways to do it. I could hit a shot like this, and let's say I'm just going real short here and just kind of do my normal. See, the issue from here is people kind of get scared and they slow the speed down. So for me, I want you to keep the speed neutral. If you open the face a little more, that encourages you to take a bigger swing length, right? A bigger swing and keep the speed up. So I would open the face a little bit and kind of go stock and keep the speed up that way with a short chip shot is one option. Another thing you can do is get the shaft super vertical, even get the heel off the ground, and even take like a putter grip. I used to do this a lot. If I'm kind of close to the green and short-sided, to deaden the shot and almost kind of go like this way, like elbows separated and kind of like this motion, and almost even hit it on the toe. And this way, because you got to take a pretty big swing and stay aggressive, and the ball's only going to fly like a yard or so. Like that ball probably flew 2.5 yards. So you can go super vertical and do it that way too. Now that's assuming good lie. If you have like a shitty lie or there's some other circumstance, it gets a little more complicated. John, in the backswing, around left arm parallel, should you rotate your forearms to the right? There will be some natural rotation in there from here to the top. So if let's say I'm here, let's say I'm at left arm parallel, and I'm going to the top. There's not going to be a ton of forearm rotation from there to the top. Now, if you're trying to get it kind of more on plane or kind of more laid off, like if I go here, let's say I like the elbow a little bit more down towards the ground, so there's not a lot of shoulder rotation and not a lot of forearm rotation. The shaft's kind of slightly vertical here. Like that's what I would prefer. I'd prefer the elbow more down, shaft inside the ball line a little bit, because it's easier to shot the downswing, easier for speed, yada, yada. I would like this more, or if you're here. So the more I rotate my forearms, the more it makes the shaft go on a flatter plane. So from here, if you're trying to get on a more flatter plane, then yes, you can throw some forearm rotation in. If you're trying to go more kind of down the line, then no, you wouldn't want to have any forearm rotation. So it depends. I got some guys in the membership site that get too narrow in this way, and I want them to feel like their thumbs are kind of 45. Take the hinge out. Watch this. Thumbs behind me. So that's one I use a lot. Here's over hinge. If I feel like the thumbs are kind of 45 degrees back this way and unhinged. So that, I like that a lot too, which you can get the club over there without adding forearm rotation. See what I'm saying? Like I can, without a lot of forearm rotation, get the club on plane compared to doing it with that or shoulder rotation. So there shouldn't be a lot from there, but it depends on kind of what you're trying to do. Lee, my coach got me on the downswing, having me bow/flex left wrist. Now I'm getting snap hooks. Massive overdraw, is this normal? Yeah, you have two options there. Number one, if you got a coach, do you trust your coach and are you committed to it? If yes, then your answer is obvious. You should do exactly what he says. If no, then that's a different conversation. If he and you decided to bow your left wrist, before you started doing that, you guys should have talked about it. There should be a clear reason why you're doing it. And then the answer is yes. Now, you could be bowing your left wrist, doing that successfully. It's taking dynamic loft off. It's closing the face. You're hitting it left because you don't pivot. You don't rotate. Your old pivot matches your old wrist condition. If you had bad wrist conditions, your face was too open, you'd kind of throw at the bottom to square the face and you wouldn't pivot. You'd probably jump and not rotate. So if you do everything else the same, but just flex your left wrist, then you should hit it left. Like we just did a little thing today on wrist conditions. I hit a couple left because I had my old pivot. What I would say is if you look at guys like Dustin Johnson, Burst Koepka, Victor Hovland, who have good wrist conditions, have the face tilted down, learn how to rotate and pivot and get the handle forward so you don't hit hooks with those wrist conditions. That would, generally speaking, be optimal. But that's without, I'm not seeing your swing. I got to see what you're doing, yada, yada, yada. But hopefully you got a coach you're working with that you guys both on the same page and kind of talk that out. Dave, when you coaches talk about being connected, are they talking both arms in front of you like smart ball or left arm press against the pec, arms more behind you? You coaches, you. I think when people talk about being connected, they're talking about the arms being in front of you versus kind of behind or on the side. So like, to me, connection would typically be like more upper arm. So like upper bicep here against the pec on both sides. That would to me be kind of connected, meaning my arms kind of stay in front of my chest. My right elbow stays in front of my seam line. Hands are more in front of me. My arms kind of sync up nicely on all the sides. Tour striker ball, you know, like a towel underneath your armpit, stuff like that. That would be my interpretation of staying more connected. And like we did a width drill, right, with a bucket today where you put it in. There's a lot of drills. Like if you throw a tour striker ball in and that's really hard for you, that's a telltale sign that you're not connected and you probably don't pivot well. Like for me, when I put that bucket drill in and I do some pivot stuff with our tour striker ball, during the backswing, I'm like, holy shit. Like I only swing, I feel like I can swing to here, I can't swing. That's because I'm not turning, right? Like my arms get jacked up. Like if I actually make a good connected pivot on the way back, then I can do a lot more on the way back and through. So when you use those things and stay connected, if that's really hard for you, it's a telltale sign you're probably not turning enough, right? Or you have something off with your pivots. Danny, over hinge in the backswing, working on no hinge, your thoughts and ideas. Yeah, Danny, I would say that thumbs piece, right? To me, if I'm kind of starting here and you want to have no hinge up to the top, which for me, I get over hinge here. I like the thumbs more this way, keeps the club here without adding forearm rotation. I'm going to say that again. I like to keep the club more on plane on the top without adding forearm rotation. That means if I go back with my elbow more down, so not a lot of shoulder rotation, not a lot of forearm rotation, the shaft's very steep. How I get that on plane is through wrist conditions. So I unhinge and keep my left wrist flat. Not a lot of shoulder rotation. This is important. This is big. Not a lot of shoulder rotation. Elbow down. Club's here. How do I get it kind of laid off? Wrist conditions, not forearm rotation, which makes that less hinge at the top. How I would do that is by getting your thumbs 45. So I feel like they're going this way. So that's kind of not the best angle. I feel like they're going this way. There you go. Is that kind of a good angle? I feel like they're going this way. No, 360. This way. Can you see that from there? Okay, I feel like that's not the best angle for me. But when I'm looking at that, it feels like they're going kind of backing up this way, my thumbs, instead of this way. Okay, that's enough of that. I don't know if you can see that good or not.
Thorough camera.
Have the club on plane with wrist conditions, not arm rotation. Okay. Jeff, do you think an occasional duff shot is due to marginal mechanics or brain meltdown? Probably mechanics. Probably mechanics. Could be both. But probably, I mean, at the end of the day, if you had a bad shot, there was something mechanically that went wrong. The question is, why did that happen? Everything starts from your brain, right? Starts from the thought. I'd have to kind of see that circumstance a little more. Matt, what would be your best advice to find continuity? Maybe your top 5. There are so many individual things to get right, but I'm looking for help getting solid first and then breaking into more complexity. Honestly, Matt, the best thing you could do is join CogornoGolf.com. The best thing you could do is post your swings on there. Let me look at them. Let me identify your top priorities and guide you in a direction. Yeah, and guide you in a direction of what you should do. That is absolutely, genuinely the best thing you could do. Happy Bob. For downhill bunker shots, I think of keeping my right shoulder close to the ground. And yeah, that works. That's cool. I like that. I just say on downhill, because the ground's literally this way, you can't go too far back here or else you're gonna hit fat. You gotta kind of keep with the slope this way. We did a chipping video on this on uphill, downhill. Uphill lies, I wouldn't go with the slope. I'd lean into it and hit into the slope. Downhill lies, you gotta kind of go with it and keep the face open enough and have enough loft to get it up. Lower the handle. Do you have a good feel for getting off the right side and onto the left side, weight shift easier? Yeah, I would say record yourself, do that, record it, see that you didn't do it enough, exaggerate more, see you still didn't do it enough, exaggerate more. That'd be the best way to do it. In terms of drill, you can do something simple like an object underneath your foot. So if you take a normal setup, let's say I put a club underneath a sandwich underneath my right heel. A lot of people do this to keep the foot down. So you can put this in and hit a shot and keep that down. But for you, you can feel like it comes up a little earlier and kind of like you're pushing off your inside part of your right foot, getting onto your left leg. Like that club kind of drops down a little earlier and you get onto your left leg a little bit sooner. So for you from face on, you kind of want to feel like earlier in your downswing, you're pushing off the inside part of this right foot kind of this way and pushing your hips forward, belt buckle forward, get your shoelaces towards the target, all of this pushed up forward. The more you add extension towards the target and push off that right foot, extend your right leg, belt buckle up and forward, be some feels you can do, but ultimately record yourself and see. Brad, do you feel push or pull on the takeaway and downswing? I don't feel either. I think what you should feel depends on kind of where you're coming from. I think what your goal would be, have checkpoints in your swing to use. Like I want you to get here, club it even with the hands, face tilted down 5 to 30 degrees on the toe line, in line with the pec, shaft line, inside ball line, over the trail shoulder, back in line with the pec, butt of the club outside ball line, on or just inside handle, rotation amounts, and then kick up and out from there. So what you should feel kind of depends on where you're at and then where you need to go. I need to kind of see what you do. I don't think you need to necessarily feel a push or pull. It depends on what you're currently doing though, Brad, right? Okay, 2 more minutes. I'm taking too long. I'm going to try and quickly go through these. How much arm lift and when should it happen during the backswing? Brooks appears to be lifting since the club never appears to get behind. Yeah, so there's definitely lift in your backswing, meaning your arm here. If you made a backswing and the arm just went straight across, like if there was no lift, your arm would be back this way, right? So here's my arm in address. If it was just in with no lift, it'd be here. Now, no one does that, right? There's lift, probably about this much, and then there's in. So there's lift about this much till your arm's about even with the ground, and then there's in. So the goal would be at the top, your left arm kind of on your shoulder plane for a stock swing. There's some guys that go deeper than that, some guys lower, some guys above. But on your shoulder plane is kind of the stock model. It makes the downswing easiest to swing from the inside, pivot well, rotate well, swing direction, yada, yada. Your arms would lift about this much, and they go in about this much. So there's lifting kind of gradually the whole way. Not a lot of lift during the takeaway, but from there, you're lifting more, you're going more up from here than in technical. If you do a straight line up this way and a straight line in this way, this is 45 degrees. So you're going up over your shoulder. So it's more up than in from that position. But again, you need checkpoints. See where you're at left arm parallel. You should be in line with your pec bicep. If you're too deep inside that, you need to feel more up. If you're not that deep, you need to feel more in. You are welcome. How do I stop a sway in my backswing? Mark, search Eric or my name and sway, and you'll see a video on that. Which is better to improve my downswing with my right arm? My elbow pointing down in an internal or external position. Your elbow in transition, almost all good players go external. Do you need to feel that or not? Depends on where you're coming from. You want to go external, either consciously or not. Yes, for sure. Is it okay if you use stiff flex shaft on irons, regular flex on drivers? If that works well, I would always recommend going to get a fitting, see what they say. They know more than I do about that. How do you stop a prematurely early release at impact? Make sure your face is square or shut and you have a good enough pivot. Ultimately, club face is king. If your face is open, you will not have shaft lean. You will not pivot well. I'm gonna say that again. If your club face is even thinking about being too open, even sniffing, thinking about being too open, you will not have shaft lean and you will not pivot well. So club face first, rotation second. Recently focused on trail heel down at impact and it has straightened out my drives. Why is this good for my swing? No idea, Kevin. We would have to see your swing, my friend. No idea. Because whatever you do when it comes up makes you hit it bad and that fixed it? I don't know. Scott, on takeaway to bring it more back from the inside. Scott, no, I would hit the checkpoint. What is okay on your takeaway, from my opinion, is to do whatever you need to do to get right here. So if you're here, you need to feel here to get here. If you're here, you need to feel here to get here. Does that make sense? Search my name and takeaway. Okay, I'm getting the wrap up signal back there. Another hour, rapid fire golf. Appreciate you guys being here. This was fun. Again, we got good weather right now outside. Hope you guys have a good week. We'll do this again next week, ideally, hopefully outside. I don't have any master class for you guys. Hopefully you guys checked out our distance master class. We're going to have a wedge and short iron master class in like 2 weeks, I think. As always, if I said before, if you guys want to post your swing or you want me to look at your swing, I'd be happy to help you guys. The best way I can do that, and really the only way right now for at least the next 6 months I can do it, because I don't have any in-person lesson times, is on CogornoGolf.com. Post your swings up. Would be happy to see you guys there. And hopefully you guys have fun. I always have fun. So we'll see you guys next Monday, 5 o'clock, same time. Thanks.